Okay, Jess, let's go and take a look. Thank you so much for addressing this. This is so important. And this paragraph right here is just, this is going to take the peers' critiques for you and it's going to elevate them just by having this background right here. Remember this, Jess, as you move through your student career and especially in your design career. When you're submitting work for approval, you want to describe it. And a lot of times, the better you describe the work, the more the viewer understands your intent. And I can imagine that a lot of good design gets rejected because it's not described correctly. So imagine this, as a creative director, I have let's say Monday morning or Tuesday morning, I come in and I have probably 15 projects to go through from my designers, from my studio here, right? And I go through, and if I'm subbing out work or using an intern or whatever the case is, I have to take a look at that work, right? So before we progress on the project. So what I do is I take a look at it and I see if I have one designer that's submitting 15 ideas for a project, I need to know the description. Even though I'm familiar with the project, I've got a lot of stuff to look at. I need to know what your intent is of that project. That's the importance. I can't imagine that a lot of really good design gets rejected because it hasn't been described. And creative directors don't have time to hunt the designer down and say, hey, this looks good, but what is your intent behind this or this or this? And that's a waste of studio time. That's why writing is so important to describe your intent with your work. So thank you so much for this. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. One other thing I wanted to address, I think you use more guideline, which I actually smothered the creative process. Absolutely. There's an old saying I don't know, my computer seems to be frozen up here a little bit. Oh, there we go. There's an old, an old saying in graphic design and it goes like this: don't ever fall in love with your design. And and the reason is because if you go to a client and you have 5 concepts for that client to look at and you just love the third one, all right, you just love it. As a matter of fact, you've probably proceeded with that before getting accepted because you're just sure the client's going to love that one. Well, guess what? The client's 99 times out of 100, the client is not going to pick that one. That's why we say don't fall in love with your design. Be ready to move, be ready to adjust, be ready to change at any time. So this is a relatively important, I should say this is a critically important statement here in showing me that you understand this process. Excellent. I've chosen with eliminating the poll altogether. I absolutely understand now how the design is centered on the image and not the message in the text. I want to correct that. The message is not centered on the image. The message is centered on the combination of the presentation of the type and the content of the type. We're not using illustration on the front of this unless it's incorporated into typography. So therefore, one message shouldn't exceed the other. They should work in concert. They should be cohesive. They should create a symbiotic nature between one another, reciprocal nature, if you will, where the text is dependent upon the image, and the image is dependent on the text. And when I say image, I don't mean illustration. I mean working something out into the typography. Let me continue by saying, okay, let's just jump from there right over here to the last paragraph. You recommend the elimination of the fishing pole and reworking the text message. The text message. Now, Marlon, I kind of tell. All right, here's where I'm at. I don't think this is working. I don't. I think that the Marlin, substituting the I think it's almost predictable in a way. And I understand you're going to create this connection between Hemingway and the sea, and I get that, and it's logical. Well, how do we depict sea? I think with the Old Man and the Sea and some of the writing and the Key West lifestyle and all that, I think fishing is a big part of it. So to represent Hemingway's relationship with the sea through fishing, I think is a very logical way to go. As I said, the fishing pole is out because it's an illustration. But somehow, remember I said yesterday with my first critique, if we could kind of maybe hook this over here, maybe kind of just make the top of this look like a fishing line like this with a little maybe just the top of this T coming off like this, and then a string coming off of it, almost to try with a hook at the end of it. So do you see what I'm saying? So this turns into the fishing line. It comes over like this. It gets thinner like just like this. And then at the end of it, a little string comes out with a hook on it, right? So that's typographic. What's that saying? It's not using illustration. It's using type. It's modifying the type, and it's saying, okay, viewer, here's what you're tasked to do. You're going to look at the T. You're going to see a fishing pole. You're going to make the connection typographically. It's a really super powerful way to communicate. So that's where I'm at, and let me know what you think. Now, that's not to say that the timeline can be used, or that this can be used as a timeline in the back, this fishing pole. On the back of the poster, I mean, I could see this as having a timeline event coming right off these hooks. See what I'm saying? So just keep working. You're doing great. You're doing fantastic. Keep working. I think the blue makes sense. I do, but keep working with your colors as well. Okay, there's where we're at, Jessica. Great job. Thank you so much for clarifying. And if you have any questions at all, let me know.